Hey everybody, welcome. This is The Yard Sign, the most important relevant podcast in politics. And happy Monday morning to you. No, I'm just kidding. It's Monday evening. Just sometime between 7 and 8 as always. And a very excited Tampa Bay fan talking to you as we're going to delve into a little bit of what's happening outside of the political world. We appreciate you for being connected to the show today, whether it be live on Facebook, YouTube, and if you happen to be catching the audio version of the show, you can do that on don't forget you can subscribe to the audio version of our podcast on any of the famous popular social media and podcast platforms, especially of the crypto God, I'm like all over the place, the tech overlords at Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and Samsung podcast platforms.
Like we haven't been doing this for like over a year.
Gosh, I'm all out of sorts. Yeah, I could barely hear.
T-shirt is barely there. internal best baseball.
Just raw.
All right, so we're going to jump right into it, given that we don't have any new faces with us today. We've got only old faces. And tonight's topic, so we're going to talk about the crypto crash. And
to the moon.
That's right. Not so much. It's like it's about as effective of getting to the moon as North Korea is. And we're talking about the January 6th political theater.
The greatest show on earth.
That's right. Barnum and Bailey couldn't have done better themselves. And, of course, we'll look at primary updates from around the country to give you an idea of what this midterm elections are going to look like and continue to look at endorsements and kind of pick apart who the next rising stars are going to be of this political cycle. So let's get into tonight's big table. Over just to my right, your left, is Anibal David Cabrera.
It's a little offensive when you get the big table. What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
I guess they're about the same size.
I'm a little offended.
No, it's a big table. You know, you're the
also,
guest. You're
our table is black. Is there a reason why your table is white? You know what?
Possibly.
I could get started. I'm not going
Maybe a subtle reference, too.
That's where it's at.
And sitting there in the corner chair, as always, biting his tongue, is Scott Levinson, everyone. Our good friend running for Hillsborough County Commission District 1. And we'll get an update on his campaign in just a bit. But again, the most important news of the Tampa Bay area right now, the only thing anybody cares about other than gas prices in Tampa Bay is our Tampa Bay Lightning. Isn't that right?
That is absolutely all that should matter right now.
I know. Even the gas prices don't quite matter.
Look, you don't have to drive to sit in front of your TV and cheer on the Lightning.
True.
And, the Avalanche are going to be tough, but I just think we're too veteran, and we are going to see our third in a row not done since the New York Islanders.
And I mean, you're the sports expert, so are the Avalanche really a threat? I don't follow that closely to kind of really be able to gauge how strong a team they are.
They have a very good offense.
Okay.
So do we.
Well, for us, the defense.
I said this on the show the other day. Yeah. You have got a Hall of Famer in Vasilevsky sitting in the net. No doubt. That is sealed. You also got a Hall of Famer defenseman in Hedman.
Yeah.
You've got two of the best players to play the game to work and stop their offense. I just think we are too veteran. We are too experienced. You've seen the other teams we've played get rattled down the stretch.
I was a bit worried after those first two games with the Rangers.
I wasn't. I was not at all.
It was looking pretty rough. But
you lose game 3.
But that's where that's where you wonder, because they did have a little bit of a break before those games.
I don't like that.
So is that a thing?
Yes.
Is that rust effect a thing?
Well, I think if you look in both series, you look in the NBA series with Golden State and Boston.
Right.
Golden State they looked horrible after that long layoff.
The injuries start to kind of creep in.
Right, the Lightning. Well, the big thing is, we got time to recoup. Yeah. You also got time to get rusty.
Yeah.
And
not only that, I think it also gives you time to maybe fall into, kind of your recipes. It doesn't challenge you enough, because let's think about it. Between that gap, we lost Braden Point. Actually, no, he was already hurt.
You lost him in the last series.
And so, but I think he's been such a huge missing piece of the puzzle. But it shows how amazing of a team this is that they were able to figure it out and figure out how to win without him.
The big thing
because he's one of the big point scorers.
And Kucherov is who he is.
Sure.
The guy that is really lit up in the playoffs is Stamkos.
Right.
He's got 8 goals in the playoffs.
Unbelievable.
And he is lit up. And I mean, there's no doubt, win or lose, Cooper is a Hall of Fame coach.
Absolutely.
And I just think you have the right recipe for a three-peat.
Well, the one that astounded me, and again, I've said multiple times, I'm a casual sports fan. I love all sports. I love competitiveness. I'll watch. I don't really dig into players like histories or backgrounds.
Right.
But I enjoy the competitiveness for what it is. Pat Maroon's career is, talk about Hall of Famer. The guy has been in more playoff series than all but one NHL team.
You realize this could be his 4th Stanley Cup in a row. His 4th. The only other guy you look at, I don't know, you guys are younger, but there was a gentleman that played in the NBA, Robert Horry.
Yep.
Who just always made the big shots in the playoffs, and he won it, in Houston and with the Lakers. And what has he got? 7 rings? 6 rings? Wow. 7 rings?
Yeah.
And but Maroon, this could be his 4th in a row. The guy hasn't lost a playoff series since he was on a bottle.
I think it's his 19th consecutive playoff series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost series since he was still eating Gerbers.
That's incredible.
It's nuts. The excitement, and that's why, look, I think Esposito was amazing bringing hockey here. Mm-hmm. You've got so many transplants.
Yeah.
I think it's surpassed baseball here. It really has.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the attendance figures
in the
alone.
Bay Area, it definitely has.
Yeah.
I mean, because really, that's the best number you want to go by. Are people willing to spend the money to come see your game?
Yes.
And the fact that you've got a nearly sold out season after season, their season tickets sell out.
Unfortunately, professional sports has gotten to the point though where only few can really afford.
Sure. Yeah.
Family of 4 going to a game like this, you're looking, that's a mortgage payment.
That's been the only plus side. The upside, I would say, of a floundering Major League Baseball is that some of these teams that are struggling to draw in crowds have had no choice but to make their tickets more affordable to the general public.
Well, also, the stadiums are just way too bigger.
And the
the size is too much.
But the question is baseball... And my answer is no. It is not America's pastime anymore.
No, not anymore.
Football, basketball, even soccer now, which is, it's a communist sport, but we'll let it go. Sorry, I just
that was
but it's amazing that it's taken this long, because really it's taken about 40 to 50 years for soccer to truly ascend to becoming recognized as a national sport.
I got to tell you, in the old Sombrero, when the Rowdies were kicking the grass, that place used 40, 50,000 fans.
Really?
I mean, I remember watching a game there when the New York Cosmos came and Pele played.
Yeah.
And the Rowdies would, back in the Rodney Marsh days, the Mike
we were talking about Jimmy Carvelis. Jimmy Carvelis, who was a mentor of mine, was the voice of the New York Cosmos.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so he got to see Fabiani, Pele. I know I'm dating myself, guys. Yes, I'm old.
Yeah, so it's definitely its second resurgence, but it obviously, for whatever reason, it didn't stick around. It didn't, it wasn't able to maintain, to the level that we're seeing now with the MLS.
Oh, yeah.
And now you've got Miami. And Miami has 2 teams. Mm-hmm. We've got the Rowdies doing an amazing job here in St. Petersburg. You've got Orlando with a men's and women's team also doing fantastic financially as well, because these teams are self-funding their own stadiums. They seem
what a novel idea! Really?
Yeah.
What a novel idea!
I know. Go figure.
What you mean? A billionaire having to pay for his own stadium?
I know. Poor guy.
Oh, but if we don't have it, but if we don't pay for a stadium, then our businesses won't thrive.
Yeah.
Whether the billionaire pays for it or we pay for it, the same businesses are going to.
And honestly, had they not screwed over the taxpayers, and
they haven't begun to screw us over. They're
just
trying.
wait till November.
well,
Yeah.
but I mean, but again, like we didn't really get, or at least how I understand the history as it's been told here in Tampa in regards to Raymond James Stadium. The taxpayers that never really truly saw the funds that they were promised, from that arrangement to build the stadium, and that money has already been spent years
ago.
You mean? Well, come on, guys. So what? Name me 3 taxes that the money's really gone where it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
Lottery, lottery.
Yeah,
the lottery you can tell where it's going.
Well, the lottery
not
is one
to
of
where
those
it was originally sold as.
Originally, no.
Well, no, and again, and this is where I'll call it out. I mean, the legislature was not supposed to replace educational funding with the lottery money. It was supposed to supplement educational funding.
And you think it'll be any different when they hit us with all these other taxes they're trying to hit us with here? It's just, they want to build. I'm all for building a baseball stadium.
Yeah,
I guess I'll put the commissioner hat on right now. Use the assets you got. I think the fairgrounds, great area.
Absolutely.
You want to build a stadium where someone, if someone asked me as commissioner, how would you build it? I would get the Seminole tribe involved, put a skywalk over the interstate, build the stadium at the fairgrounds, let the Seminole tribe pay for it, which they would be happy to do.
Sure.
It gives them a venue for their casino. You now have Tampa as a destination. No, it's not Vegas, but it's still a destination.
No, people will park at the casino.
When the New York Yankees are here for a weekend.
Right. It's a 25 to 35,000 seat facility.
Right.
Which is perfect size for a baseball stadium nowadays. Thinking that they're going to sell 70,000 how many games a year? It's
the days of a Yankee Stadium, of Fenway.
Yeah, but that works.
Shea.
But that works in New York. That works in Chicago.
Barely. I mean, even in those cities. I mean, it barely. I mean,
and that's uncovered.
They've had a lot of trouble with the new Yankee Stadium.
But you give a destination. You have the amphitheater. Right. You have a stadium. You have a casino.
Right.
You have and they would
got hotels,
and people are already crossing the highway. Well, I've seen it. It's like
dude,
passing
what
by.
What part of Skywalk don't you get?
Yeah,
no, that's what I'm saying.
That's right. But getting back to the Lightning, I mean, do you think it's so you don't think it'll go less than 7, or what's your prediction there?
I've got the Lightning in 6.
In 6, okay.
In 6.
That's reasonable.
I got the Lightning in 6.
Do you really think the Colorado thing is a factor? The altitude?
No.
We were kind of saying off air.
No, they've played in that. They're professional athletes. This is something that they know was happening. They've been training for a while.
But again, I mean, like watch Brady's documentary, A Man in the Arena. I mean, those factors do affect your play.
He's also only playing 15 games.
Yeah.
Whereas hockey is playing multiple of that games.
Because like the last episode that came out, which is Brady now with the Buccaneers, in his final season, prior to this current one, he talks about how he got so accustomed to the Tampa Bay weather, that it did take him a little bit to kind of remember what it was like to play in these, frozen tundras. Green Bay and New England.
The one thing about hockey, the temperature never changes.
True. Yeah.
Never changes.
Right. Always indoors.
Well, they do these outdoors once in a while, but
exhibition.
In the playoffs, the temperature in that arena, now the altitude, they're only on the ice for a minute to 2 minets,
right,
before they do their shift changes.
I don't know. I couldn't even walk a stairs when I was in Denver last time.
Well, and then by all at least reports, it seems like we might get Braden Point back for the finals.
I'm always leery about that too.
Yeah.
They've gotten, and don't get me wrong, we are a much better team with a Point than we are without.
Sure.
But chemistry right now is chemistry.
Yeah. Well, again, they figured out how to play without him.
Yeah.
Because he was a guy you could rely on to score once or twice a game, if not more. And to make that adjustment, to find the guys to step up and fill that role. I mean, again, what I love are some of these stories of these guys who never played in the playoffs, and
2 games ago,
right?
2 goals for a guy that hadn't scored in 39 games.
Right, exactly.
So it's always good to have a commissioner that knows sports.
I bet.
I'm just saying.
Well, we're having I think the city is having a lot of fun with this.
Yeah.
It's been a great time. The whole Bay Area, we were in Pinellas County when the last game happened, and you would have thought the city stopped for the whole region just stopped for the game. Everyone is somewhere. Everyone is watching. As soon
Looking for a TV.
Yeah, and so like we're at the condo, you can hear the residents in the condo shaking, like clapping when they score, and you're like, this is insane.
It's also, I mean, let's be honest, folks. We're not in the best world right now.
Yeah.
We're just not. People are hurting, gas prices, inflation, blah, 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 blah. Sports tends to take you away from that.
Right.
If it's 2 hours, 3 hours, it's a distraction.
Yeah.
And
right.
I think it's something we need right now.
The region needs it. I'll say this right now when it comes to gas prices. Pinellas County, Sam's Club, 40 cents cheaper.
Not anymore.
But past Friday was.
You heard the new rule they're doing now, though.
What are they doing?
No longer can a non-member go buy gas at Sam's.
Oh, I'm a member of Sam's.
You are, but
I've been a Costco member forever, so I've never put.
But
gas
if you are not
at
a
Sam's.
member, you can't do it.
I don't know if that's
anymore.
going to be allowed actually, because under the state constitution.
No, Costco does it.
So what's happening is those are getting challenged by lawsuits because under the state charter, gas is considered a fundamental essential.
Yeah.
And so you cannot limit that for other people.
I would be okay with that during like an emergency situation, but Costco's using my membership dues to subsidize the cost of the gas.
I'm just telling you what is coming down the pike.
All right. Well, I'd be against it. But let's go ahead and jump into our first topic of the day. Thank you, everybody, for watching The Yard Sign, the most important and relevant podcast in politics. Your host, as always, Jonny Torres. We hope you're having a great summer as I just got back from visiting some family members down south in the northern hemisphere of Cuba, otherwise known as Miami. I knew Anibal would get a kick out of that.
North Cuba?
North Cuba, that's right. But again, this has been now happening as the economy has continued to kind of grind to a halt. We've also seen the effects that it's had on cryptocurrencies. And I'll be honest, I don't quite fully have an entire solid grasp of the whole.
Nor does anyone.
Right, but again, this has been these are obviously very important trial periods, and the truth is that while liberals are trying to explain away our economic struggles as well, the whole world is struggling. No, the whole world is struggling because the United States economy is struggling, as it did in 2008. Like when 2008, when the bubble burst, everybody else's economy also went to crap because we are so interconnected.
The saying is when the U.S. catches a cold, or catches the sniffles, the rest of the world catches the flu.
Right.
Like it's that much worse for the rest of the
Sure.
world. And we've talked about this a little bit, that the worse it gets here, the much worse it happens overseas. No one's even talked about the civil war in Ethiopia. No one's talked about what's happening in Sierra Leone.
But how does this administration even think that talking about making this about Putin is a good narrative?
Oh my gosh.
But,
What else do they have?
No, it's true. They've run out of excuses.
We've got Putin and we've got January 6th.
Right.
What else do they have?
No, none. And they're going to milk those until November.
I'm still looking who kidnapped Kamala.
Oh, no, she's out there. Trust me.
They're not talking about that. I haven't seen her in a month.
No, she was at the Summit of the Americas.
Which no one
I'm
attended.
glad she was because none of the Americas was.
Mexico
Colombia
didn't.
was there.
Mexico. Okay.
Well,
Okay, so they had drugs at the after party. What else is there to talk about?
It's only because they needed a mule.
Oh, that was a good one.
Good day.
Thank you.
But of course, she's there. All the guys are there, dressed up in their best suits, and they're taking all these publicity photos for the international media. And then she's there, like in a t-shirt and a blazer, and she's cackling like she always is when she has no idea what she's doing.
Why did they even go forward with that when you had
Mexico.
Nobody that matters there.
Mexico dropped out.
Mexico dropped out. I mean, I don't know who else but Mexico is a big one, and that does.
What was it? Mexico, Argentina, Uruguay. There was like 6 countries that just said, we're out.
Yeah, I mean, Mexico is is probably the biggest. That one's probably the one that hurt the most, especially given the fact that it all kind of funnels north, right? It all kind of funnels, through Latin America up through Mexico, and without having them there, it kind of discredits the whole thing. I mean, it really makes the whole thing pointless.
It also shows how weak the administration really is. I don't think the last time Mexico chose not to attend that summit. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
and like it just shows that and I don't think it signals that America is in decline. I think it's just people just don't have respect for Biden, and that's the bigger thing of it.
True. Yeah.
I really don't think at all that it's the decline of the U.S. I think that's stupid when people say things like that. I think people are just realize the same reason why the Saudis aren't pumping more oil, and the same reason why we can't get any kind of conditions that we allow China to continue with their solar power, solar panels dumping in the United States, and we're allowing South American countries not to attend a conference for South America is because they don't have any fear with Joe Biden. There's no passion there, and we're going to keep on having this for the next 2 years.
Well, yeah, and again, this as much as they want to try to throw the blame around anyone else but themselves, let's not forget this is all by design. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is what he campaigned on. And what I love is that now, because the internet never forgets, you got these videos of Janet Yellen years ago saying, no, this, pretty much Janet Yellen and everybody on up saying, no, this inflation thing is transitory, right? Which, is elite speak for, this is going to be temporary. Mm-hmm. And no, this inflation is going to be temporary. It's going to pass. It's not going to last long. It's not going to cause any major damage. And yet here we are now, looking at what many are saying is inevitable, that we see maybe $7 gas.
That's going to be crazy.
Well, they showed that the food inflation for which I know you know a lot about as well, Scott, for a family, the percentage of inflation hitting food in the family budget is now equal to when we had the economic crisis of the 70s, which was about just under 12%.
It has gone up roughly 65% of an average mortgage. So think about that. Think about the prices that we're paying.
Right.
And, you'll have the left say, oh, it's because the big companies aren't producing as much.
But you being in that world,
blaming companies is not the answer.
Okay,
blaming oil companies, blaming pharmaceuticals, that's not
nothing
the
else.
answer.
But on the food front, we're hearing about all these processing plants going up in flames. We're hearing about potentially.
Well, we're not hearing about it unless you're looking. That's the problem.
Well, that too. I mean, so what's going on there? I mean, you're hearing about these food processing plants, animal processing plants. Being in some cases, it sounds like they're being bombed, or certainly maybe being lit on fire. I mean, of course, they're nobody's being caught or prosecuted.
Yeah, but that's not the point. But
why is this suddenly happening?
It still causes an effect.
You've got almost 24 locations now that have
you have 3,500 locations when it comes to meat packing and when it comes to other processing facilities for food and agriculture.
No, it's not. Again, every
but this is a trend. I mean,
right. No, he is right. And is it sabotage? Is it terrorist? Is it? And the problem is they're not talking about it.
Right.
And
why are they not talking about it?
Because when the news doesn't talk about something, it's one of two reasons. One, we're right as conservatives. Mm-hmm. Or two, it's something that the left has done and they don't want to publicize it. I mean, we're seeing on the news, extremists, white supremacists.
So potentially some animal rights groups.
This could be a PETA thing. Yeah. It could be, but you won't hear that.
Right.
But as a guy that's in the food business right now, I'll take eggs. 2 months ago, eggs were $36 for 30 dozen. Mm-hmm. Now they are $63 to $70 for 30 dozen eggs.
Wow.
And guess what? As far as I know, the process of making an egg
Has not
has not changed.
Now, which one comes first? I always forget.
The process has not changed as far as I know.
Right. Well, in going back to the topic, which is crypto, I mean, so crypto, obviously, you know, the speculators, the investors, I think it's, safe to say it's mostly a younger crowd. You know, there's obviously all types of investors in crypto, but really, I mean, this shows that it's no different than anything else you would invest in the stock market, right?
That's definitely not true, but okay.
No, but I mean, but it's obviously seems to have mirrored the effects of, you know, basically whatever's happening in the stock market, you know, seems to be acting in a very similar way in the crypto market.
I don't know enough about it. I look at crypto just like I look at commodities. Honestly, to me, that's what crypto is. It's a commodity.
It's not a commodity.
Not saying it is, but people of my generation, my age, as you're saying, not that people in their 50s aren't buying crypto, but I look at it as, you know, it's a pork belly.
Well, then, Anibal, you recommended the topic. So what is it that you feel is going on?
I think, and the reason why I submitted this as a topic is because of, in the last few months, we've seen a 60% drop in the valuation of cryptocurrencies. And before that, I knew people that were taking mortgages or taking loans off of their mortgages to buy crypto. They were purchasing crypto in such a veracity that it definitely showed the signs of a speculative market in a bubble being created.
Right.
When people are taking loans, I knew people that had PPP money that for their businesses, they used that for cryptocurrency.
Wow.
And that kind of wilderness
is illegal.
Is illegal. One is illegal, but two, it shows how crazy that industry got, and people that were selling it like they were some kind of like a prophet of some kind, selling it like if it was a new religion is what went wrong.
Well, and is this downturn in the economy, as it continues to get worse, and in all likelihood will continue to get worse, might it be enough to kill off cryptocurrency, or is it something that's not going away
I don't think it's going away anytime soon, because you have delusional people thinking that the U.S. dollar is going to one day collapse.
Right.
And I'll tell you this, and we've had this conversation. If the U.S. gets sick, the rest of the world is on life support. If the dollar goes away, that means the world has completely fallen apart, which means you won't be able to use a digital currency to begin with.
There's a gas station on Highway 60 in Brandon that right below where it shows their gas prices, it says buy or sell crypto here for cash.
I've seen those. They look like little ATMs. They look like ATMs.
They look like little ATMs.
But again, like again, I don't understand enough to understand how that would even work. I mean, because I understand the technology is complicated to the extent that you have to make sure that when you do purchase crypto, any kind of cryptocurrency, you have to have a secured wallet, you know, or location, you know, where you can keep it secured so nobody can take it from you. So
there's so many problems happening, because this has now become the real test of where is the valuation. Is the platforms that have been pushing for crypto for so long, can they fulfill the deals? Can they fulfill the closing of the day? I mean, you have reports saying that some Bitcoin wallets are not letting people sell their Bitcoins, because odds are the platform doesn't have the funds required to be able to meet the end of day closures to figure out the ledger. And when that happens,
margin call.
When that happens, it becomes a huge problem. So right now we see that occurring. And again, being an investor in a speculative market, that's normal. That is completely normal. But to tell someone that cryptocurrency was going to be the new gold or the new dollar just doesn't make sense when it comes to that point. The technology is legitimate. The technology is changing the world. But putting a valuation on a Bitcoin, that's a limited, a finite limited number. It didn't make sense to begin with. And that's when people were getting a little ridiculous about it and getting really upset when you talk negatively about Bitcoin. Again, if you can't buy...
the people that are into it are super fanatical about it.
Super fanatic. And again, I don't have an issue with that. buying in a speculative
But
market.
to an extent, you have to convince yourself that this is a sound investment
'cause,
decision.
Again, this isn't like a home because you don't have to sell your house. You can live in your house. This isn't like food that you're going to consume for yourself or like a vehicle or land.
And it's not
or something
tangible.
else. It's not even buying gold. You can at least put it in your teeth to cap, or you can put it in a cell phone. Like that's a legitimate, tangible assistant.
Like trading penny stocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you
I
kind of
mean, that's what I think. That's what it seems like to me. I mean, I got to be honest. I don't know a whole lot about it. I don't care to know a whole lot about it right now.
Well, to me, it seems like when you would go to Disney and buy the Disney dollars. You know, it's like you're getting a diminished value in some cases, or most cases. You're getting a diminished value for your money, and then there's only like one place you can spend it at.
Yeah. And again, and so now the market is saying that they see the next breaker for the price of a Bitcoin at 19.2. That's the next one. So it fell below 30,000 on Wednesday of last week, and now it's on a free fall again. So they're saying that it's probably going to get below the 19.2. And again, I know people that bought when it was $50,000-$60,000 of a coin. And now they should not have bought with the resources that they used to buy it. It's not like it was just like play money for them.
Well, and I would imagine someone in that position is also now panicking because they're not thinking long term. They're thinking in the short term, and they're thinking, "Oh my God, all my money's gone."
If you bought Bitcoin because you thought it was going to replace the U.S. dollar, you were given the wrong information, and you did not do enough research on it. And that's just the point. Because people were to the moon. They were going to hold it to the moon. It's going to be $100,000. You're going to have an asset that's worth $100,000 you can't do anything with? That makes no sense.
right?
It's again, if you want to really hear the research, and I would love to see what
Get divorced for that.
I would love to see what Hector's position is, but it's like the tulip run in Amsterdam during I think like the 18th or 17th century.
No, you love telling that story.
I do love telling that story because you could buy a house on the water for one tulip at one time. It was ridiculous,
Yeah.
and you have that now. Humanity has done this multiple times, and they'll do it in the
He
future.
loves that word. He does.
All right. So I mean, again, it's at that point, anyways, where for the average person, it's so out of reach, financially that I haven't even thought to even consider investing into it because again, it's just
My wife would kill me. My wife would.
Yeah,
kill
no,
me.
I don't get the point. I mean, again, like I want to
Would
know.
your wife kill you
If I what?
if you invested in Bitcoin?
I don't know. I'm not allowed to touch the money. I have no. You would have to ask her if I'm allowed. I have no idea.
Now that I'm married, I communicate a lot more, and I ask for permission a lot more because, like, the whole thing. Oh, just do it. Ask for forgiveness later. That doesn't work in a relationship.
Yeah.
Because the asking for forgiveness is way more difficult.
Guys, I've been married for over 27 years, and
Do you ask for forgiveness or you ask for permission?
you just don't ask. You do nothing that you are not told.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
You did safer.
So, anyways, with cryptocurrency, it's been a fun ride. It's been enjoyable. It won't disappear, but I think it'll be back to normal. And again, for those that thought, and again, we know people on this show that have said it, that the U.S. dollar was going to get replaced or it's not worth anything. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea about the money supply around the world. The US dollar is our main currency here. It's also the main currency for what? Half of Central America and South America. Also many parts of Africa. The US dollar is number one. Philippines. Again, it backs the world. And to think that it's not going to in the future is comical. Because again, if it's not, then we have completely lost control of the world.
Yeah. Well, and again, there has to be something of value there to kind of
Has
back
to be.
this up.
And there's nothing of value.
So, all right. Well, we'll keep you up to date on that. And again, I appreciate Anibal for bringing that into the list of topics for tonight.
Wait. I'm sorry. Hector, he comments, Hector says, it's all nuts. I think there's going to be a bunch of realtors out looking for work soon.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's coming. I don't think it's going to be as bad here in Florida.
I don't see that for a while.
Yeah, but yeah, I think there's your part-time realtors. You know, your
part-time.
Yeah, those folks are going to be
We've said it before. The moment that everyone you know is a realtor is when you know the market is saturated.
Yeah, right when it's about to crash.
Oh yeah, when everyone has their real. I have a friend that works at a particular card company, and he talked about getting his realtor license. I'm like, you have 2 kids. When are you going to do that with a full-time job? Oh, we're going to do it on the weekends. Okay. We'll see how that works.
And those are the worst. Those are the worst realtors too.
Oh my gosh, they don't know what they're doing. They don't have time.
Yeah, no, and it's all like just half-assed. You know, it's just they don't do their diligence, and that's how you get into a whole budget.
Like politicians.
Folks. The opinions expressed by these 2 realtors is not necessarily mine. I need all of you, so please.
I'm all in favor of the full-time realtors, the people who are out there doing the real hustle. But anyways,
I'm okay. It's whatever.
Yeah. Let's go into our second topic for tonight. Thank you again for watching The Yard Sign. Your host, as always, Jonny Torres, with me, Anibal Cabrera, Scott Levinson. And don't forget to subscribe to the audio portion of our show, where you can take it with you wherever you'd like to go. And you can subscribe on any of the podcast platforms out there, especially the ones run by our tech overlords at Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Odyssey, and Samsung podcast platforms. Please leave us a review or rating if you don't mind. And, of course, please share with your friends and family as we continue to get closer to the midterm elections. And speaking of things that are trying to influence the midterm elections, we had these completely unnecessary congressional hearings on the January 6th riot that took place. And, of course, the really political theater, because they decided to hold these hearings in prime time. And Democrats decided to hold watch parties all throughout the country. And really, this all amounts to nothing. It accomplishes nothing. They are a legislative body, not a judicial body. And so any evidence presented, I'm sure, has already been raked over by the DOJ. It's already been applied to anybody that's been convicted of anything. And so, I mean, other than trying to sway votes, given the deep and dark circle the Democrats are in coming into the midterms, I mean, really, what else is there to gain for them out of this? I mean, they're just trying to keep Donald Trump out of the election, right? I mean, that's really what this is all about.
Distraction.
Sure.
It is a distraction for what is going on.
Good job.
But a distraction.
I mean, it's
a distraction, but I think this is also being used as a political tool to try to diminish the odds that Donald Trump will run for.
Let me ask you a question.
24.
And is anybody that's going to vote for Donald Trump influenced by this?
No.
So is it really affect that?
No. What they're trying to do is, because he did sway a lot of independent voters. He did steal from some of the typical liberal voters.
We're going to use that word steal.
He was able to pull some voters away from the left, from Democrats.
But don't you think
overperforming in some very blue states, especially where there's a high density of blue collar workers. So that's where I think they're trying to secure the votes.
How many true devoted Donald Trump people will let any of that, or will any of this affect?
Well, again, that's not the audience for this.
Also, what they say, and Jim, I cannot read what the person said. Please stop with the will any minds be changed take. It's not our job. Our job is to report and disseminate the facts. I don't believe you.
Right.
I don't believe anyone in Congress that they're trying to. It's a spectacle. It is the greatest show that no one is going to watch and that no one is watching. And then they get mad because Fox News isn't streaming it live from 9 a.m. in the morning.
Right. Mind you, every other channel is. But that's not good enough for them.
Who's watching TV to begin with?
Yeah.
This is no different than a grand jury hearing where in the grand jury, the prosecution presents all the facts.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You get no facts from the defense. This was the same. It was all one side. Oh, there's 2 Republicans on there.
Oh, who are going to both lose their seats in this coming midterm election cycle.
But this is a very.
Look at that.
This is very,
Well, any Republicans that were going to, and I don't even want to say defend, but I mean present any kind of a differing perspective from what the agenda of these hearings were.
Off the board of
Jim
ago.
Jordan,
Right.
gone.
And you know what? I would have given them more benefit of the doubt if they would have kept them on. And at least you would have been able to see the back and forth arguing of what's happening. But just reading, it just reminds me of like, this is just, I've said this so many times on this report, on this show already. Like, of course, Democrats are going to shoot their load way too quickly. And of course, they have this in the middle of summer that no one's watching anything. And you think anyone's going to remember this in August and in November? My God, you guys are going to lose so badly. And you can't even lose. Honestly, just like, I don't know, samurai yourself. I have no idea what that's called. But my goodness, it's a disaster.
No, yeah, they're literally, I mean, because they're trying to get the approval ratings up now. The problem is that they live and die. Washington, D.C. lives and dies by approval ratings and polling. And so when these approval ratings and polling comes out and it's not what they like, they feel that they have to instantly throw something at it to try to change the trend. And right now, nothing that they throw at this has been able to change the trend that Americans are going to vote them out of office come November.
And the guy that wants nothing to do with this is Merrick Garland.
Right.
He does not want them to refer anything to him, because then he is the one and only one that makes a decision at that point.
Sure. Yeah.
And I just can't believe that anyone wants that on their plate.
Now, they said that 18.8 million people watched across 6 major American broadcast channels the start on the January 6th start on Friday.
But think about that. That gives you a crazy and that gives you a crazy look into how
and
weak
who said that?
How weak the media has become.
For that now.
The fact that you need 6 different media outlets to amass 18 million people.
It would have been 40 million if Fox News would have been watching.
But you're probably quoting the Washington Post.
It is the Washington Post. And that we should have a whole topic about the dumpster fire that has become the Washington Post.
Wow.
How people are literally, it's become a middle school cafeteria, the Washington Post, with their reporters internally. But anyone
that saw Bezos buy it knew it was just going to become a leg for him to, again, push his agenda out there, push the accomplishments of Amazon, serve as kind of a buffer, to a lot of the other reporting that was out there about Amazon and about Jeff Bezos. That's the only reason any of these billionaires get into the media industry, which is really just to spin positive stories about themselves.
And just be honest. Just be honest about it. You're buying it for this reason. Unless you buy it and put it in a trust, I don't believe anything you're going to say. It's just not real.
Yeah.
If you're willing to take a loss, that's fine. You are the 3rd richest person in the world.
I mean, the Democrats were trying to say, they presented new evidence. No, there is no new evidence.
There's no new evidence.
I mean, this again is 2 years old, just about. The American public has checked out a long time ago. Polling, speaking of which, has shown that they don't care about what happened on January 6th. If they can even tell you what happened on January 6th, because most people don't even realize that's when that took place. And so, I mean, again, the consultants are the ones raking up here because they're the ones kind of pushing the gas on this whole thing. But this is not going to turn the tide for them in November. All right. Glad you agree.
What can we say about something that's a show pony?
Right. Yeah, no, look, and the truth is that we continue to see Biden degenerating, Kamala being a failure, the economy basically, just about going off a cliff, and they're just throwing stuff, just hoping that something gets them out of this mess.
Yeah, we were in negative growth last quarter, and we're technically still inside the second quarter right now, which I wouldn't be surprised is also going to be a negative number when we get out of the second quarter. So technically, we probably are in a recession at the moment. And what's going to happen is that prices are going to get so astronomical, out of control, that it destroys demand. And there's a term for it that I'm missing right now. Hector, if you can help me with that.
But that's the thing.
But that's what's going to happen is that as gas and food and rent and everything else, people will be unable to pay, and so they'll just stop doing it, and then you have a bigger correction than they are expecting. They talked about wanting to do 100 basis points to increase interest rates, and tomorrow is the meeting, which they're probably going to do 75 basis points because of a leaked Washington Post or Washington whatever article that came out, and that said that they're probably going to do 75% basis points tomorrow, which is insane. Because now the only thing you're doing is pricing out the lower income individuals out of the housing market because they're not going to be able to afford a 7% interest rate. That's absolutely
it goes to show you how terrible Democrats are at running the economy, that they can have low unemployment, and still manage to run the economy into the ground.
It's absolutely ridiculous. This war on fossil fuels, it's created what's happening now, because you can't just tomorrow open a new field. It takes months to do this, and so it's going to take months for us to get out of this.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately, I mean, there's no light in sight. And I think we're going to have a truly maybe hopefully
let's raise taxes.
Right.
What a great idea. Why would anyone think raising taxes at this time is a smart move?
Only people that are entirely disconnected from reality.
The fact that we have tax, they are pushing for higher taxes in the middle of what, again, come August and November, we're going to be announcing that we're in a recession. Like, that's insane. And then you want people to pay more in taxes, but yet you have the governor saying that he's willing to, I think they just passed it, that Florida has gotten rid of gas taxes and all the other basic taxes for essentials, which is great. But it's only going to do a limited amount. But at least he's doing something.
Don't worry, Hillsborough County will find a way around it. They'll find a way to tax you one way or the other.
I am so surprised. And then you find out that Florida has such a surplus in its budget that got put for rainy day situations like this.
Yep.
I think it's like $30 billion. And you're like, that's what an appropriate balanced budget situation is supposed to do. You're supposed to figure it out. During good times, you don't take it all off the table. And during lean times, you make sure that you have enough in the coffers.
Well, and that's why
Maioria is a perfect example.
Yeah.
She made sure that we had enough in the coffers for rainy days, and when rainy days happened, the budget was there for it. And I'll say it all day long. She was a great mayor. She made sure that Bob Buckhorn could spend all he wanted to spend on parks.
Jeez. Yeah, no kidding. Well, and that's the thing is, imagine if the federal government had a balanced budget amendment, that they could be held accountable to.
Oh my God! So wait, real quick. Chase Harrison, who's running for District 7, just made a comment, and I want to see what the reaction on Scott's face is. So let's pan to Scott's face.
Don't do that,
yes,
guys.
Scott. Wait, we're almost there. Scott, look at the camera.
Which one?
Whichever one.
Right in front of you.
The one flashing?
Yes. Okay, sir. Do you know how much we are going to spend for the marketing company to sell Hillsborough County on the tax?
$700,000, I believe, was the vote that was approved.
Now,
am I close?
You are exactly correct, sir. They are spending $700,000 to market their tax hike to people that want to vote them out.
Yeah, Chapel Roberts is going to get that.
Okay, here's my question then to that. Before you all start talking about the primaries, someone's got to keep us on track.
The white man.
Yeah, there you go. But why are we? You want to spend $700,000 to promote a tax,
right?
Of citizens' money. That's what we're doing. We're spending $700,000 of our money. Where's the $700,000 for the other half of us that don't want the tax? What firm did we hire to lobby against the tax? Mm-hmm. Oh, that didn't happen because our commissioners have the ability to just say, poof, we're spending $700,000 to promote the tax. But yet, they find no responsibility to the other half of the citizens that don't want the tax.
Right.
And that is where our commissioners have a problem. Like I said, I understand elections. We all go to our fighting corners and we come out ready to go.
Yeah.
But once you are elected, you are supposed to represent all the people.
Right.
whatever party they're in.
Yeah.
We have a problem doing that, but I want to know what I win for getting the right number.
So Chase says that that you need to stop injecting logic to the county commissioners when it comes to their spending whims.
But it goes to show you how out of touch they are.
Completely out of touch.
You know, and then a budget that size is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, yes, Hillsborough County is a large county, but you know how far, or you know how much you can do with $700,000.
If it doesn't pass, which I don't think it will, I think people are going to be so upset, especially when gas prices get to above. We're at $4.95. We're at $4.95. It's almost like the gas stations don't want to go past $5.
Sure,
because they know people are going to get pissed.
Right.
And it's like once you breach that number, everyone's like, well, I'm just not going to go out and eat. I'm not going to go do things, and you're going to see the economy start to slow down significantly. Which again, I get the Fed wants to do because it doesn't want hyperinflation to start kicking into place because we're already at 9%. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's better than other parts of the world. Pakistan is dealing with like 37-40% inflation. We're having some other places. Anyway, a very small dog just entered the studio, guys.
God, thank God that was a dog. I thought it was you.
First of all, it's not that bad. And two, I only touch your leg like once. It's fine.
It's true.
All right. Well, for those of you watching us on YouTube, Facebook,
you got to introduce the dog.
Of course, that's what I was about to do. This is Leah Marie. She's a 10-year-old Yorkie. You know, she was given to us by a former student of my daughter's mother, and she's her nickname is Chicken, by the way, because when she was a puppy. She was so golden, had no browns, no black, nothing. She was so golden, she looked like a McDonald's chicken nugget.
Well, we picked up additional viewers for it. So.
There we go. Cute puppies always help.
So Chase Harrison is going at it. He says they've never missed a paycheck during the lockdown, which again is very true.
Wait! Don't be stealing my lines.
Yes, out of the I'm not using the additional words that he used in the pod. Anti-tax people. He's going, Chase, we will have you on the broadcast so that you're able to fully show how passionate you are. Maybe a little bit more passionate than you are when it comes to tax cuts.
I don't think so. There is forget tax cuts. I just, you've got to be sick in the head to propose a new tax,
especially
right
in
the
this
middle of recession.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you have got to be crazy.
The audacity.
The problem is,
it's not even just the crazy.
But wait, guys, we did have town hall meetings just because the town wasn't allowed to speak.
Have you been at those town hall meetings?
Yes.
It is so stupid.
I went to 2 of them, and you're not allowed to speak.
It's not a town hall meeting. It's just you reading what they're selling you and then you walking out. I remember when they were doing the additional taxes and roads and everything else, and they would show you what they're going to do to addition with the taxes of where it's going to go. Yeah. It's just a presentation. You can't say anything. That's not a town hall.
Because they're snake oil salesmen.
It's exactly what it is. And you know who gets paid? Marketing. The marketing people are getting paid.
The consultants, the marketing.
We should open up a consulting company.
There we go.
To again,
do studies. Studies also pay really well.
I will do a study to show how subsidizing the ferry.
Because how many studies have they done on light rail?
The ferry that St. Pete said they don't want anymore?
Yes.
That ferry?
I read the article today and I was like, they're going to start subsidizing the ferry, blah, blah, blah.
And before anyone gets offended, it's not the hey ferry. No, it's a ferry that transports people back and forth.
And we've had
subsidize a hay ferry?
Guys, 3 studies on that. 3 studies. We've hired 3 firms, $100,000 a pop, to study that, and then St. Pete
doesn't want it
anymore.
Well, because it's a tourist attraction.
It's a tourist attraction.
The only ones making any money on it are the people running it, and it doesn't accomplish zero. It accomplishes zero at eliminating vehicular traffic.
I don't understand anymore.
Primaries.
I was going to say the streetcars. I have such a problem with those damn things. Not because it's not useful. I get it. And if you were turning it into a loop, it would make a little bit of sense. But you're doing neither. And you're telling people, oh, ridership is up. Ridership is up. Yeah, because no one's paying to get on the trolley.
Right.
Of course ridership is up. Why wouldn't you? It's free transportation. It's free. Be honest with me. Tell me that you're just going to subsidize it for the rest of the time, and that we're going to pay for it. Just tell me that.
Right.
Just be honest with me. Don't lie to me.
I'm sure if the Rays games all of a sudden were free, it would be
I don't know.
sold out.
I don't know about that one.
Is that a little too fun?
Too soon.
Yeah. But it reminds me, because again, I remember getting very angry about this, that Governor Scott, one of the last things he signed off on as he was stepping out the door was giving Hart millions of dollars, for the streetcar system. And what do they do with it? They go ahead and decide to just make it free for 4 or 5 years.
Have you ever rode it?
I've ridden it a few times. Mostly when there's when I have family and friends from out of town,
and I want to show show the town a little bit.
Yeah, you do the little tourism, thing. Again, that's pretty much the only time.
But I would also pay $1.
Of course.
Just do that's the thing. There's so many other things just to reduce
Make
the
it
price.
a quarter. I mean, do
something so that we get an actual money coming into the coffers instead of what they're doing now. Anyways, back to the primaries. So this last few weeks have been quite interesting when it comes to the results of the primary system that's been going on. At the moment, we've been keeping track of Trump's endorsements when it comes to the primary system. And out of all of the endorsements, he is still at a 94% positive rate of endorsements. He has had 110 election results wins and 7 defeats. Majority of those defeats have been in the gubernatorial races, which I think is fascinating to see. That's where he's losing it. He's losing in those positions. Anyways, so in governorships, he's out of 16, he's 5-3. Of senates, he is 9-0.
Wow.
9-0 for senates. And for the House, he's 81-1. For the House. And so it is absolutely ridiculous that the number of losses.
I mean, the congressional house?
Congressional
State
House.
Okay,
it's the congressional House. It's he's lost one and one got kicked out, got removed from the ballot. Another one, and that's also technically for the Senate. He 9 wins, technically 0 losses, but 1 withdrew from the primary. So he's doing well. Anyways, the next round of primaries are on June 21st, and those will be in Utah, Colorado, D.C., Illinois, New York, and Oklahoma.
Well, I'll tell you the big win for Trump really there.
Georgia.
No, Texas.
Yeah.
They've taken the Bushes out, and hi to the Bushes, who I've hung out
so much fun.
I've hung out with them. Yeah, in Miami. I mean, it's
we run into them all the time.
Well, you just go. Their office is pretty much the Biltmore down there.
Don't look at me like that.
The Biltmore Hotel down there. No, look, Jeb Jr. is an awesome guy. He's very involved with MavPAC.
Yes, and they're really cool.
And they promote a lot of good candidates out there. Bernie Jacques, is a MavPAC candidate, and doing great things, but again, it's one of those things where I think that era of politics is over. Now, that being said, I will say I still think that George P. can make a comeback in some form or fashion. I don't know that it's going to be statewide.
I don't know if it's going to be statewide.
Especially in Texas. But I think maybe he'll come back, as a senator. I certainly think he can win it for Congress.
I think he can win in Congress. I just think you're right though. That time is over. That era is over.
Right.
And I think it's not like the Kennedy situation where there was still a place in the Democratic Party for a Kennedy. Yeah. And even now the Kennedy is a Republican. So maybe the Bushes might do better in a more liberal state in that kind of sense, or a purple state. Yeah. But I don't see it happening like it used to. I remember in the 90s, you had governors in Texas and in Florida.
What's crazy is that he was challenging the incumbent attorney general, who apparently is under federal investigation. I mean, the fact that a Bush couldn't overcome a candidate like that, I mean, I think says a lot.
I think it's the times that we're in right now. The last name just causes too much damage.
Well, the Republican Party has become averse to those political families. Mm-hmm. I think, and that's in large part because, we saw the Kennedys and then the Clintons and, and they're like, well, we're not going to be party to that.
It's our regal class.
It's
nepotism was legit back in the 90s and 2000s.
sure, yeah. I mean, again, so we had George H.W. and then we had Jeb and we had George W. and we kind of saw them all kind of coming up the ranks, but the tides turned. And I think, that's where we saw the rise of not only Donald J. Trump, but we saw Rick Scott here in Florida, who I think will inevitably also run for president at some point. It's a lot of these kind of self-made, men, a lot of these men who understand the business world and the political world.
Do you want to get into that conversation of what's going on in regards to the potential of someone besides Donald Trump running for presidency on the Republican side?
No, look,
Scott,
I mean,
yes or no?
yeah, why not? I mean, it's still a possibility until
I'm still at the point. If Trump says yes, no one's gonna. The majority of people will not run.
Correct. Nobody's going to challenge him. No
one's going to waste
someone
30.
will. Yes.
Nobody worthwhile.
No one worthwhile is going to jump into that race.
But someone will.
It's
Well,
not.
no, there's already like 20 people on the
Right.
ballot.
Someone-
This is
someone
not
will.
District 15 in the House race where people just keep on jumping in of bigger and better names.
Seriously.
And now you have a situation in 15 where it's two tiers, and you're like, what are you going to do with that
Right.
$5 million you have?
Which I heard there was actually, when we talked about it, we had two dropouts. It was Dennis Ross
dropped.
And Torres.
And Torres
No.
moved to 14.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yes. And
Oh,
so now
interesting.
14 is completely out. Because you were thinking for a while that people in 15 that realized they were in the wrong race would move back to 14. And now you have a situation where you have a man that is willing to spend up to $10 million of his own money.
Well, you have two
Where did he get his money from?
defense contractor.
Another DC
but
plant.
you have two guys
It's an easy target.
with a lot of financial whereabouts because you're forgetting about Judge too.
Is he also defense?
He he was very much in the military.
Can I just say, don't get me wrong, I love all these people. Thank goodness you're running. I don't know any of you before you announced that you were running.
yeah.
And that's a big problem for me.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, good or bad with Jackie Toledo, at least I knew her.
Sure.
And we've seen her around the community.
You've seen her come up the ranks.
You've seen her come up the ranks.
and she's earned her stripes.
All these other people are just jumping into congressional.
But you know what, guys? Whether you and look, I as a person that I will say spent my time in the streets and not in the political bourgeoisie and everything else, I didn't know any of these names either, and it is two different worlds. I mean, where we say, "Oh, we've never heard of that person before." That's because the political class and the everyday common Joe on the street are very different.
I don't know about that. I'll say this. I consider myself, and this sounds horrible. I'm sorry, honey. I consider myself a part of that political class, honestly.
You are.
Because we have been a part of the system. We have run organizations. We have talked to candidates. We have been this is like my fifth or sixth cycle that Jonny and I have been a part of. We have seen the ups and downs. We've seen
Know what it
dogs.
takes to win.
We know what it takes to win, and we've dealt with the L's. And you're telling me people that are running for Congress that I've never heard their name once. I've never seen them at a Lincoln Day dinner. I've never seen them at an REC meeting. And all of a sudden they're running for Congress.
Okay, maybe
Boo-boo.
Congress.
Boo-boo, you should be running for like city council
Maybe
or for county commission.
You know what,
That's
though?
my biggest problem. You jump all the way to for Congress when you really should be cutting your teeth in the other positions. And just because you have an extra comma in your bank account does not mean you should be able to run for Congress.
That's right.
But and I'm going to be honest about it, didn't you say the same thing about me when I started running?
Even though you had 30 years in public
But
service.
you said you didn't know who I was.
And did I talk to you the first time? When was the first time I talked to you?
I don't know. I tried to. No.
Yeah, but there's, the difference is being that you, again, have operated at the county level. You know what I mean? You've been active at the county level.
You're trying to say I've been a thorn in their side?
Well, no, I don't know that. I mean, because again, I didn't know you until you started running for office, right?
Right.
But you were operating at the county level where both the people at the county commission and in some of the other departments, knew who you were, so it's not like you were starting at ground zero. Because we've had friends, who are great young professionals. They're very talented, could have easily walked into a city council seat.
Easily.
But decided to go for a county commission seat where they really haven't put in the legwork, or where they're not really that well known in other parts of the county.
Well, and I think it's two avenues. One, you get involved in politics early and you grow with it. Or two, you do what I did for 30 years. You stay involved with the community. You stay involved and you have a vision for that community.
Yeah. So Kimberly Davis says that, Scott, you lived on the county level. And that's
Right.
what she said. You have lived
she's
it,
right.
and that people understand it. She also says that people overshoot their shot, and others, so my lovely and adorable wife, who is on summer vacation, says,
Suck up.
yes, always. How are you still married?
Who?
You.
I'm a sucker.
Exactly.
Hey, look, I have the
This
most
is half political, half sports, half marital counseling.
I have the most look, I'm telling you right now, I have the most wonderful wife in the world. I will never say any different. I know I'm a very lucky man. Cha-ching. Next.
Now back to the topic.
Okay, alphabetically, first wins in 15 because ain't nobody got time for that. Too many names to read through the voting list, which is the thing, actually, when it comes to alphabetical order. We've seen people literally change their names to make sure they're the first one on the ballot.
Right.
But yeah, I think 15 is is way too saturated, so it's going to be a fun race to watch the consultants get paid.
Well, but what we were saying too is that we have friends who, again, very well known in downtown, in South Tampa, yet decide to run for a county commission seat. Again, it's like, they could have walked into a city council seat.
Easily.
No, instead they went to county commission and they lost.
We've had this conversation.
Whereas, we have a friend right now who was running for Congress who could easily walk into a county commission seat because they work for the power company and they are well known and active at the county level.
Yeah, and again, people don't realize that a strong prime, and again, city elections are in March of next year.
Oh, yeah.
And if we organize correctly, and this is why I hate the fact that the REC in Hillsborough County is not organized. You're telling me the county is going to fund the tax promotion by $700,000, and I can't get $50,000 to put 5 billboards up to talk about it. It's so difficult to organize because no one trusts the leadership here in Hillsborough County. And because of that, we have issues with raising funds. Again, it's great that you had a Lincoln Day or Reagan Day dinner and you raised like $30,000 to $50,000. That's awesome. You know what's even better? 7 years ago, we were doing $500,000. Right. What has happened between 5 to 7 years ago and now where you can't even break 6 digits? Yeah. That is insulting.
Does anyone, and I'll say it again, does anybody have a problem that we have elected commissioners? These are not the ones running. Well, some are running now, but they are still elected to serve the people of Hillsborough County. How are you serving all the people of Hillsborough County if you are allotting money to promote a one-sided opinion?
Right. No, and asking for more money at a time where we have a housing crisis, we have an economic crisis, we have all these problems, that we're with, and again, like the timing couldn't be worse.
In the last 15 years, how many of the commissioners sitting there now have signed the front of a paycheck?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
How many of them have signed the front of a paycheck? How many of them have been responsible for an employee's child being fed? How many of them have worried about any of that?
Right.
They've lived on the dole, and that's the way the system is set up. But at least stop pretending that you all understand what the average guy on the street is going through.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep you updated, everybody, on how that continues. And, again, keep an eye out for those advertisements. By the way, one of the things we're going to start doing, we weren't able to get to it today, but maybe for next show, we'll start featuring some of the political advertisements that are coming out. I know Senator Rubio actually just put out what may possibly be the first statewide campaign ad in his Senate race against Val Demings. And so if you haven't seen that, go around. I think it's already out on YouTube and wherever else you'd like to watch your videos. But we're going to go ahead and bring
real quick. We did talk about the county commission. We didn't talk about the school board, and that they have just voted to spend $900,000 on marking the millage. $900,000.
So let me ask you a question, because
again, raising taxes on homeowners.
I am not an accountant. I don't play one on TV.
And renters, really.
But $900,000. How long does it take for that tax to accumulate $900,000?
Oh no, and the process won't be transparent.
It won't be at all.
There's no transparent
is there a
RFP.
clawback?
There's no transparent RFP process.
Is there a clawback if they lose?
Right. Yeah. and I can assure you, Chapel Roberts is probably going to get one of them.
Oh my God.
And I bet you a good chunk of that is probably going to go to View up in Temple Terrace or Diamond View.
It feeds them. I'm not going to say they're kickbacks, but
what do you mean they're not? Wait! I will.
Yeah, exactly.
I will. You know what?
I gotta have dinner with these people.
We've got to. Yeah, but you know what? As conservatives, as Republicans, we have to stop trying to be kind, and we don't want to call what it is. Look, guys, the $700,000 that they just voted to spend. How many of the sitting commissioners right now have received funds from that group or others related to that group?
Right. Yeah, good point.
I know the answer, but why don't you all go look? Why don't people out there start following the money? We didn't just vote to give someone $700,000 because the commissioners really think they needed to raise these taxes. They're doing it because, and Anibal, you might be afraid to say it, I'm not. Pay to play to pay, and it's got to stop.
Right.
These commissioners, if we're hurting for money so much, and I'll say it as a commissioner that's running for office, cut your salaries in half right now. Right now.
Oh,
in fact,
they won't do it.
I'll tell you what, I'll challenge them to something else right now. I'll do it for nothing. Because that's what the Constitution said. We are all supposed to take our turn.
Right.
We are all supposed to take our turn and not be there for 15, 12, 18 years. So I'll do it for nothing.
Yeah.
Because I love this county.
Right.
Which one of them will do the same?
None.
No, none of them. So, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching The Yard Sign. Anibal, David Cabrera, Scott Levinson joining us. Thank you to everybody. Also, make sure that you subscribe, like, follow, ring the bell on YouTube for us so you don't miss a single episode. You can also subscribe to the audio version of our podcast on all the popular podcast platforms or even the ones over at the Tech Overlords at Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Odyssey, and Samsung podcast platforms. We're going to go ahead and bring in the show for a close. We'll let Anibal do one last thing.
Website.
The Fed will be meeting on Wednesday to negotiate some form of increase in the interest rates. We are expecting a 75% basis point that they're going to increase, which will cause very large drama for the rest of the country. I think that's going to be very interesting. I will say, though, as my one last thing, because that technically was not it.
Come on.
Chase Harrison has a birthday coming up, guys, on the 20th. Just want to throw that out there because he didn't say it in the comment section.
By the way, was the Jubilee to your liking?
It was everything
Oh, my God.
I wanted.
By the way, I got something for my favorite turncoat over here.
You have a British flag on your car still. I'm the turncoat.
I didn't put it there.
No, but you kept it.
I'm working on getting it replaced.
You working on it?
Besides, I'm not the one that gets all excited about the Queen and gets excited about the Jubilee.
I'm a Southern gentleman.
and-
I can be happy about the jubilation.
So I have a Funko Pop here of let me see, of King George. There we go. From Hamilton.
Yay!
Yeah.
We're thinking of going.
Appropriately enough.
We're thinking of going to New York, and the original person that did this characterization was hilarious.
Oh,
as
yeah.
King George, and has a spitting issue, and so it just made things even
Oh my
better.
God. All right. Well, and
Anyways,
then
the jubilation
Scott,
was quite entertaining and fun.
Scott Levinson. How's the campaign going? Where can people find you? Donate.
We are going
good.
well.
We're good right now with the campaign.
The campaign is going very well.
We had a meeting and everything. It was amazing.
Yeah. You know what?
Did you spike his drink over there?
Please, Chase, you come on next week. I'm not coming back. No, it's going well. I will tell you, I am truly humbled over the last week and a half of the way people have rallied.
Cool.
I am humbled by it. It's been wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I do ask people that, again, as I always say, I don't live for money. I just need money to live. And folks, we need to win this race. We're going to win this race. Please go to vote.
Yeah, by saying that, let's make sure people understand the money's going to the campaign.
Yeah, it's guys, I just said I would do this for free.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure I won't get any other votes on the commission for that.
Yeah.
But
Won't be getting any fellow endorsements there.
Well, you know what?
You know what? I got nothing to say about that.
Endorsements are a wonderful thing, but I'll tell you what. Endorse me by checking my name on the ballot box. How's that?
No, look, and to be honest, Anibal and I talk about this all the time. They don't really get you much leverage. It's certainly not as much leverage as people think.
I do find it hilarious that some organizations endorse one candidate or the other without ever talking to the other candidate.
Sure.
I'll also say it's even funnier when people have their kickoff parties and they have all these people as host committee. Come to find out that they didn't pay to be on the host committee.
Right.
The candidate just asked them to be on the host committee. You're like, that's not a real thing. That's not how any of this works.
Defeats the purpose of having
You
a
just
host
want
committee.
their name on there, and that's
Right.
it. And as soon as people realize that that's what you did, it's worthless.
Yeah.
So you can have 50 people on a host committee, but when those 50 people aren't doing what a host committee's job is to do, you've lost the complete argument. They're
Right.
supposed to bring you money and bring people. And if you think that's going to get people to elect you as a sitting representative, please.
So in absence of that, go to Vote Levinson.
There we go.
VoteLevinson.com. We thought it took us a while to think of that one, but VoteLevinson.com.
Got that one figured out real quick.
Right.
All right. And again, look for them all over social media as well. And if you can, again, send your checks, send your dollars.
Big news. Big news this week, right?
To the Levinson campaign.
big news?
Big news for the campaign.
Look at that. He can't even keep his
Big
mouth shut
news?
about
Big
the big
news.
news.
Big news. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Is it anymore? I guess it's.
I don't know what the big news is.
You have to find out.
You have to find out. When will they find
Apparently,
out?
Anibal's more
find
excited
out
about it
on-
than you are.
Thursday.
I think so.
Oh, okay. All
I
right. then.
think so.
We will make sure social media is aware of our pending nuptials. Pending announcements. You'll get an invitation in the mail.
Wow.
On behalf of Anibal, David Cabrera, Scott Levinson, I'm Jonny Torres. Thank you so much for watching and listening to The Yard Sign. We'll catch you back here next Monday night, 7-ish. Why not? Good night, everybody. Good night.